I remember the night my husband begged me to save another woman's life more clearly than my own wedding day. I remember how Ethan's hands shook as he held mine, something he had not done with real emotion in years. I remember thinking that maybe tragedy was the only thing strong enough to bring us back together. He told me his sister Lila was dying, and for a moment all the distance between us disappeared. I watched the strongest man I knew crumble in our living room, begging me like I was his last hope. When doctors confirmed I was the only compatible kidney donor, Ethan looked at me as if I had become his miracle. For the first time in years, he stayed home, slept beside me, and asked if I was afraid. And I told him no, even though I was terrified because I believed love meant sacrifice. I believed that saving his sister might save our marriage too. I signed every medical consent form without hesitation, trusting that loyalty would finally be rewarded. The surgery lights were cold, and the last thing I saw before anesthesia pulled me under was Ethan whispering thank you. When I woke up, pain tore through my body, but I felt strangely hopeful. I thought Ethan would be proud of me, grateful, maybe even loving again. Instead, he walked into my hospital room with 2 lawyers and an envelope. He didn't hold my hand or ask how I felt after giving away a piece of my body. He simply placed divorce papers on the table and told me our marriage was over. My heart stopped before my mind understood what was happening. I lay there stitched together while my entire life fell apart in silence. He said it was better this way for both of us, that business demanded certain sacrifices, and in that moment I realized I had mistaken convenience for love. I signed away my kidney for his family, and he signed away our marriage in return. I didn't cry in front of him because something inside me froze instead of breaking, and as he left the room, I understood that the man I almost died for had already erased me from his future. Welcome back to StoryVerse Vault, my beautiful, amazing story. Vault family, if this is your first time coming across my video, do comment below where you are watching from and hit subscribe to officially join the story. Vault family, now let's get into today's story. Long before Ethan Cole became one of the youngest tech billionaires in the country, Sophia Hale was the woman who stood beside him through failure after failure. She worked double shifts while Ethan built prototypes in their tiny apartment, believing his dream was their shared future. Sophia defended him to skeptical relatives, investors, and friends who warned her he was chasing impossible ambitions. When Ethan finally succeeded, fame and wealth arrived faster than either of them expected. Luxury homes replaced rented apartments, and assistants replaced shared grocery lists. But somewhere in the transition, Sophia stopped being a partner and became an accessory to Ethan's image. Public events introduced her as Ethan Cole's wife, never mentioning her own career in biomedical research. Rumors about Ethan's growing closeness to his glamorous business partner, Vanessa Grant, began circulating online. Sophia read headlines about them attending conferences together, while Ethan claimed he was working late nights. Each time she asked, he dismissed her fears as insecurity, and she convinced herself loyalty required silence. After the surgery, Ethan finally stopped pretending. He told Sophia the company needed investors, and Vanessa's father controlled billions in funding. A divorced billionaire CEO paired with Vanessa created a powerful corporate narrative. A married man tied to an invisible wife did not. Sophia listened quietly as Ethan explained their marriage had become inconvenient for his future. He even thanked her for helping his sister, as if gratitude softened betrayal. Weak from surgery, Sophia signed the divorce documents without arguing. Ethan interpreted her silence as weakness, believing she would eventually ask for financial support or reconciliation. Instead, she left the hospital weeks later without informing him, disappearing from his carefully controlled world. The media assumed she accepted a settlement and vanished quietly. Ethan moved forward publicly with Vanessa, confident his past had been neatly erased. But while Ethan celebrated business victories, unease began creeping into his empire from unexpected directions. Investors started questioning company ethics after anonymous reports hinted at irregularities surrounding recent medical dealings. Vanessa pressured Ethan to finalize deals quickly, while his sister Lila avoided him entirely after surgery. Something about the situation felt wrong, though Ethan refused to investigate further, convinced the past was already buried. Sophia did not disappear to hide, and she did not leave because she was defeated. She retreated to rebuild herself in silence, returning to the research world she had abandoned years earlier. Friends from her former laboratory welcomed her back, surprised but supportive as she recovered physically and emotionally. During routine medical follow-ups, Sophia requested copies of hospital records connected to the transplant. At first, she only wanted closure, proof that her sacrifice had genuinely saved a life. But while reviewing documents, inconsistencies began appearing in transplant scheduling details. Dates did not align with emergency classifications, typically required for immediate organ transfer. Sophia's scientific instincts resurfaced, pushing her to investigate further. She contacted a former colleague working within hospital administration who discreetly examined internal records. The truth slowly surfaced, and it shook her more than Ethan's betrayal. Lila's condition had been serious, but not urgent enough to bypass standard transplant waiting protocols. Someone with authority manipulated priority levels to secure Sophia's kidney faster. The authorization trail led directly to Vanessa Grant's family medical network. Sophia sat alone after hearing the confirmation, her body trembling with realization. I felt my stomach twist as the final piece slid into place, and suddenly everything made sense. They didn't just want Ethan free for business, and they didn't just want my silence. They needed access to me. Hubie consent form signed before surgery granted hospital researchers temporary access to donor medical data in previous research history. Vanessa's father owned biotech subsidiaries holding patents related to work Sophia once helped develop years ago. Her donation opened doors to intellectual property worth millions. Sophia realized she had been strategically cornered, emotionally manipulated, and medically exploited. The divorce was not the real betrayal. The real betrayal was discovering she had been treated as both organ donor and research asset. And in that quiet apartment, staring at hospital documents, Sophia made a decision. She would not beg Ethan for explanations. She would make sure the truth destroyed the people who believed she was disposable. Ethan Cole believed problems could always be solved with money, influence, or silence. But the weeks following his divorce proved otherwise. Reports questioning the ethics of his company's medical partnerships began appearing across financial news platforms. Anonymous sources hinted at irregular hospital collaborations tied to recent transplant arrangements connected to corporate affiliates. Board members demanded internal investigations, worried public distrust could damage future expansions. Vanessa Grant insisted the media storm was temporary, urging Ethan to ignore distractions and focus on merger negotiations. But pressure mounted when Lila refused to attend public events, celebrating her recovery, avoiding cameras and interviews entirely. Ethan confronted his sister, confused by her cold behavior after he believed he had saved her life. Lila thanked him quietly but refused to meet his eyes, saying some sacrifices were harder to accept than others. Meanwhile, across the city, Sophia's quiet investigation continued gaining momentum. Her former colleague discreetly provided internal communication logs, connecting transplant scheduling requests to Vanessa's family hospital network. Patterns emerged showing executive interference, accelerating donor approvals for select individuals tied to powerful clients. Sophia sat across from her colleague in a quiet cafe, processing the implications while trying not to draw attention. I realized then that what happened to me wasn't personal cruelty alone, but part of a larger system where powerful people bent rules for profit. Every document she gathered strengthened her suspicion that Vanessa's family orchestrated events with calculated precision. Sophia also discovered subsidiaries connected to Vanessa's father recently filed patent claims remarkably similar to research she once developed. Those research concepts were stored in academic databases accessible through medical authorization forms donors signed before surgery. Her medical consent allowed limited research review, but corporate entities had clearly exploited loopholes. Sophia's sense of betrayal sharpened into focused determination. She no longer sought emotional closure or revenge against Ethan personally. She intended to expose the machinery that used her body and career as business leverage. For the first time since leaving Ethan, her future felt defined by purpose rather than loss. Sophia decided her next step required understanding how much Lila knew about the transplant manipulation. Through a mutual acquaintance, she arranged a quiet meeting away from public attention. They met in a small botanical garden cafe where Lila arrived wearing oversized sunglasses despite cloudy weather. The young woman looked healthier but emotionally exhausted, guilt visible in every hesitant movement. Lila thanked Sophia repeatedly for saving her life, her voice trembling with sincerity. Sophia reassured her gently, making it clear the meeting was not about gratitude, but truth. After a long pause, Lila confessed she had overheard Vanessa arguing with hospital administrators weeks before surgery. Vanessa complained about delays, insisting urgent classification was necessary to secure donor approval quickly. Lila admitted she assumed it was normal executive pressure until later conversations suggested deeper manipulation. She confessed that guilt kept her distant from Ethan, who remained unaware of the manipulation. I looked at her trembling hands and realized she carried a burden she never asked for. Sophia assured Lila she did not blame her, recognizing the young woman had been another pawn. Before leaving, Lila hesitated, then quietly revealed something unexpected. She mentioned comforting Sophia months earlier after noticing her emotional distress during a private hospital visit. Sophia's chest tightened, remembering the silent grief she had hidden from Ethan after losing a pregnancy he never noticed. Lila never exposed that secret, protecting Sophia during the loneliest period of her marriage. The revelation reinforced Sophia's belief that her sacrifice saved someone innocent, not just Ethan's family image. As they parted ways, Sophia promised Lila the truth would surface without harming her. Walking away, Sophia felt renewed clarity about why she agreed to donate despite knowing her marriage was already broken. Her fight was not about revenge anymore. It was about justice. Sophia's final preparation required transforming knowledge into leverage powerful enough to challenge billion-dollar corporations. She contacted Daniel Mercer, CEO of a competing biotech company, long overshadowed by Ethan's technological dominance. Daniel agreed to meet after learning Sophia's research background and hearing hints of corporate misconduct. In a sleek conference room overlooking the city, Sophia presented documents outlining transplant manipulation and patent exploitation. Daniel quickly recognized the potential implications for both business competition and public accountability. He proposed partnership rather than simple employment, offering resources to develop Sophia's dormant research projects. Sophia understood collaboration would inevitably place her in direct opposition to Ethan's empire. For a brief moment, her memories of their early struggles flashed through her mind, reminding her of the man he once was. I felt a sting of grief, realizing love had once existed before ambition erased it. But hesitation faded when she remembered waking alone after surgery with divorce papers beside her hospital bed. Daniel assured Sophia their legal team could pursue corporate investigation while she rebuilt her scientific career. She accepted, knowing the partnership marked her return to professional identity stolen years earlier. Simultaneously, Daniel's media contacts prepared investigative journalists to examine hospital practices tied to Vanessa's family network. Plans formed quietly, designed to expose corruption through evidence rather than emotional accusations. Sophia left the meeting feeling physically lighter despite the long road ahead. Her journey was no longer about surviving betrayal, but reclaiming control over her own narrative. As city lights illuminated the evening skyline, Sophia understood her disappearance from Ethan's world was temporary. Soon she would return not as the invisible wife he discarded, but as the architect of his reckoning. And this time, she would walk into the spotlight on her own terms. Can you believe what just happened? Sophia risked everything to save a life, and he repaid her with divorce papers. But this is only the beginning. In part 2, the shocking truth behind the betrayal will be revealed. Corporate secrets will come crashing down, and Sophia will fight back like you've never seen before. Make sure you don't miss it. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below if you think she'll get the justice she deserves. Part 2 is coming, and you'll want to be here from the very first second.